Let's talk about the SkyTrain, and more importantly, the new SkyTrain coming to Surrey and Langley. We get questions absolutely all the time about whether this new SkyTrain, or just even generally living near a SkyTrain station, is a good investment, both financially and for your quality of life. With the introduction of the new SkyTrain line, running from North Surrey all the way down to Willowbrook Mall in the Langley City area, it has left so many with the burning question that is it worth it living near a SkyTrain line, but more importantly, what is it going to do for your real estate values? Are you going to make buckets of money? Does living near a SkyTrain station or a rapid transit station actually mean that your investment is going to grow faster than everywhere else? And I know what you're thinking. Living near the SkyTrain, or this whole SkyTrain coming to the area, or even just buying a home near the SkyTrain, well, is it a bunch of hype? There's a lot of noise around it. You got to think of all the things that come with living near the SkyTrain, like the extra noise, obviously, from the SkyTrain itself, or what about all the people and commotion outside of a SkyTrain station? Not to mention all the density that's going to come to the area around the station. Is it even worth all of the trouble? In today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into this, released in 2018 by the Real Estate Investment Network, all about the impacts of rapid transit on neighborhoods, but most specifically, the real estate values in those neighborhoods. You're going to learn some surprising things from this report, and you're going to want to hang around to the end. You're going to want to know just how much, if anything, did properties go up in value. You're also going to want to know where they went down in value. Plus, I'm going to let you know how to get your hands on this report. So if that all sounds good, let's get into it. Hey, it's Darren here. If you're thinking of moving to Surrey, White Rock, or any of the surrounding suburbs, subscribe below so you can be the first to learn about the market and the areas. And like so many others, we've helped in the process of buying or selling a home. If you need help in the process, whether it's today or 6 months from now, use the link in the description to book a time to speak with me. We'll help you make sure that your move is the absolute best that it could ever be. Getting good data on this is so important. You're not interested in anecdotal stories about how someone had this experience and they either made a ton of money or lost money. You want real facts, something you can lean on to make sure that you make good decisions. And we've all heard before that living near rapid transit or living near the SkyTrain is a good investment. It's a great buy. It's going to pay off long term. But the question is that really true? What is really there to support that information? It's so important when you're buying real estate, and especially if you're buying real estate as an investment, that you don't make a misstep. And I just couldn't let this sit any longer. I needed to find out for myself if this was really true or not. You know, why is real estate considered to be such a good investment anyway? Well, Andrew Carnegie, he said it really well. Even though this is a super old quote, I think it still holds true today. He said 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. I would agree with this. I have seen so many people build their wealth over the years through owning real estate, simply just participating in the game, not even necessarily buying investment properties, but really just owning a home. So much, in fact, that you can check out this video that we did right here about the differences between renting and owning to see the incredible wealth differences that you would have if you decide to buy a home versus continue renting. Investments should go up in value. That's really the goal of them, but that's always not necessarily even true with real estate. I mean, we've had some pretty substantial things happen in our market over the last 20 years where the prices haven't always gone up. You know, this brings me back to think about when the financial stress test was introduced in 2018 as an example. Here we saw the benchmark price of properties across the Fraser Valley drop almost $100,000 in the course of about 1 year. Properties absolutely took a dive and were challenged for years. And it wasn't just this instance as an example either. There was also the financial crisis of 2008. Or you could even look at the most recent history back in the spring of 2022 when the Bank of Canada started increasing their overnight interest rate, where it went from a low emergency level 0.25% up to 5% through 10 consecutive increases over the course of about 18 months. As you can imagine, this really hurt the market, and property values, well, they
fell off a cliff.
So I wanted to dive into this report. Now, this report, well, it was first published in 2014, and this report was gospel to me back at those times, but I needed to get the most recent version of this. I gotta say that this data absolutely blew me away, but it also left me with the question, does this still hold true? But before we jump into whether it holds true or not still, let's talk about the data in the report. Hey, real quick, I don't run any ads on my videos, intentionally anyways, and put in about 8 hours every week trying to bring you the very best content there is while keeping it somewhat entertaining too. The only ask that I have is that you help me spread the word on my videos so we can help more home buyers and sellers be wildly successful with real estate. Get it right the first time and dodge all the ways that people typically get burned when they buy or sell a home. Now, the only way that we can do that is if you give this video just a simple like to help other people like you find the content. That's the only thing we ask you to do. Don't even worry about subscribing. It will take you about 3 seconds and it would mean the absolute world to me, but more importantly, it may change the world for someone else. Thanks for clicking the like button, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. A few key points were that studies indicated that residential properties near mass transit see significant value increases. A 2007 meta-analysis of 52 studies found an average price increase of 4.2% for properties within 400 meters of a transit station. Additionally, properties located within 500 to 800 meters of a transit station typically see price increases ranging from 2% to 10%. The greatest premiums are often found within the closest proximity to the station. There was two interesting studies they used to kind of warrant what they're talking about here. One was the Montreal study and one was the LA study. In the Montreal study, research on over 63,000 properties sold near 4 stations between 1992 and 2009 found that single-family property values increased by an average of 1.5% for houses within 500 meters, 1.3% for those between 500 meters and 1 kilometer, and 1% for those between 1 kilometer and 1.5 kilometers from a station. The Los Angeles Metro Rail System study showed properties within 1/4 mile or 400 meters of a rail station experienced a value premium of $31 per square foot. There might be more to consider here as well. Obviously, the walkability and accessibility of being near a station, well, that also adds to your quality of life. So being near a station not only helps your property grow faster than ones that are not, but you probably get a little bit better of a quality of life. I guess depending on really what you're looking for, but hold on to that thought. A third study for the Lincoln Station area in Coquitlam, BC, saw the neighborhood around Lincoln Station on the Evergreen line experience a notable value increase. The area had a median apartment price of almost $48,000 higher compared to the rest of Coquitlam, reflecting the positive impact of proximity to the new transit station. So these are pretty staggering numbers, and I want to give you a real-world example of what these numbers mean. But first, I want you to consider this question. Can you be too close to the transit station? Leave a comment below and let me know if you think that is the case or not, and I promise you we're going to cover that later in this video. But let's move on to some real-world examples now. What do these numbers mean in real money, not percentages and whatnot? Well, let's use North Surrey as an example. North Surrey would be around the Central City Skytrain station, and there's a few other stations in Central Surrey, but let's use homes in this neighborhood. The benchmark price of a detached home in North Surrey at the time of filming this video was $1,517,000, giving a comfortable estimate of about a 4% increase in property values. Well, this would equate to $60,680,000 that these properties would be worth in addition to properties not located near rapid transit. For anyone living in an apartment building, the benchmark price of an apartment in the North Surrey area at the time of filming this is $502,000, which equates at a 4% increase to $20,080. Those are huge numbers if you are worried about what you're going to sell for down the line. I needed to see how true this was, so let's jump onto the computer just to make sure that this is accurate. Now, I'm going to use the median price of homes just generally within a SkyTrain station versus homes that are not, and let's just see what the difference looks like. So first I needed to try and compare apples to apples, which means I jumped in and did a radius search in and around the Wally or Central City neighborhood here. This is where SkyTrain stations are. They've been around for quite some time. So I just pulled my search around the Gateway SkyTrain station and went about 800 meters from there. I also wanted to keep things as equal as possible, so I looked at sold prices from 6 months back, as well as I kept the floor area between 500 to 700 square feet and the building year between 2010 and the year 2000. Now, another neighborhood that I wanted to keep my criteria was this neighborhood. So this is kind kind of called the Strawberry Hill neighborhood. It's at about Scott Road and 80th Avenue. Again, I kept the search radius around 800 meters or so, but the interesting thing about this neighborhood is other than a bus loop, which is not considered rapid transit as part of the report, that there is no rapid transit. So all other criteria was the same, 500 to 700 square feet, building age between 2000 and 2010, going back 6 months in data. So what did the data tell me? Well, looking at the Whalley neighborhood around the Gateway Skytrain station, you can see the sold prices have a low of $390,000 and a high of $508,000. This gave me an average of $443,000 or $446,900 for a median sold price in the neighborhood. Now, if I go into the Strawberry Hill neighborhood and look at similar criteria, the high sale price was $480,000, the low was $430,000, but my median is actually slightly higher at $465,000. I found this interesting, and this could be just because my subset is small. There's been a slower real estate market over the last 6 months, so obviously only having 6 or so sales to choose from in this one compared to 15, maybe throwing off the numbers a little bit. But I had another inquiry that I wanted to make. So what I did is I looked at what the numbers look like in terms of price increase for apartments in both the Whalley area, which has long been serviced by the SkyTrain, and the Guildford area, which is really just a 5-minute drive down the street in a very similar style of neighborhood. Let's zoom out here a little bit so you can see a little bit better. And you'll see back in 2014, Whalley was actually worth more in terms of the benchmark price for an apartment in the area, coming in at $186,800 compared to Guildford, coming in at $170,700. Interestingly enough, over the last 10 years, you have seen the prices increase and almost really mirror each other. They've been kind of poking back and forth and who's winning, who's not. But you started to see Guildford actually surpass Whalley, which again has the SkyTrain, back in May of 2019. And since then, it's had a substantial increase, much more than it looks like the Whalley condos have had, where the gap between the prices now is almost a whopping $80,000. Interestingly enough, this doesn't quite make sense when we look at the report and what it suggested was going to happen. Could it be the subset of information that we use? That may be the case, but at least we know real time whether actually being near the SkyTrain is a better investment. And in this case, over the last 10 years, based on the information we've put in, the answer is no. So this means that when you're searching for real estate, and an investment is really important, growing your money is really important over the course of time, you may consider setting your search parameters really based on the location and proximity to a major transit line. You're going to want to pay attention to the distance, but you're also going to want to pay attention to the upcoming infrastructure in that area. You do this and you too could find yourself gaining immense value and immense equity over the years from just buying the same home that you really could have bought anywhere else, which, hey, if we're going to own real estate, why not make some money as well? Now, before I remind you to not only comment on this video if you found it useful, but also consider subscribing to our channel if you're interested in learning more about Surrey real estate, White Rock real estate, or anything going on in the crazy world of British Columbia real estate. I got a question for you. I asked you this question earlier on in the video, but can you be too close to rapid transit as well? Can this be a problem? Well, and based on this report, the answer is yes. This is what the report had to say. Properties located too close to transit stations, specifically within 274 meters or 900 feet, may experience a decrease in value ranging from 4% to 10.8%. These negative impacts are often due to noise, increased traffic, pollution, and potential for higher crime rates, which can offset the benefits of accessibility and convenience provided by the transit station. So there's definitely a buffer zone that you're gonna want to consider. Hey, look, if you need help finding your next home in Surrey or buying your first home in anywhere in British Columbia, you're definitely going to want to check out our BC Home Buyers course, packed with over 3 hours of video learning with best practices, everything that you need to watch out for to help set you up for the best success, including how to negotiate like a pro. So when you do buy your next home, it is the best experience and the best result it could ever be. And the good news is we're currently giving the access away to this for absolutely nothing. All that's contained in the link below in the description. You can check that out for extra goodies, or you can check out this video here for our 1-hour session that we normally provide to our brand new clients looking to buy a home anywhere in the area. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.